Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be reviewing The Yattering and Jack by Clive Barker. This is a graphic novel which has two adapted stories from his Books of Blood series. I read this all in one day. It didn't take me that long to read it at all. I had a spare reading day, so I picked this one up, and yeah, it was a really fun and interesting story. It has a page about Clive Barker, the man himself there, and which is pretty standard. I presume that it's going to be the same throughout all the Eclipse graphic novels. So I didn't read that. But there's two stories in this collection. The first one is called The Yattering and Jack, which is a story from his first volume in his Books of Blood series. And this story was adapted by Steve Niles, and the illustrator is John Bolton. And then you have the second story, which is called How Spoilers Bleed, which is from his volume 6, I believe, of his Books of Blood series. I could be wrong about that. And that story was adapted also by Steve Niles and Fred Burke, and the illustrator was Hector Gomez. So yeah, this was a really enjoyable read. Today I will be reviewing both these stories, The Yattering and Jack, and How Spoilers Bleed. So before I tell you what both these stories are all about, I just want to say that this is going to be a spoiler-free video, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding this graphic novel as a whole. And additionally, because this is such a small graphic novel, I will try to be as vague as I can and try to keep it as brief as I can. So let's start off with The Yattering and Jack. The story introduces us to the creature simply called the Yattering, who is a invisible demon. You see him on the cover there. And he is from hell. He is a minor demon, and his job is to stay at a person's house that hell was selected for him, and to basically do all these pranks and tricks on that person to make them insane and mad, so hell can claim their soul when this person eventually dies. So the Unchattering Creature is invisible, as you can. I'm not sure if you can see it clearly on the screen, but in all the illustrations of him, he is transparent. But because this is a graphic novel, they had to make him visible to the reader, if that makes sense. And the person that the Yattering, he doesn't have a name. He's simply called the Yattering. The person that he has to corrupt is a man called Jack Polo, which is the same Jack as the title. Jack is a everyday American man. He is a gherkin exporter. If you didn't know what a gherkin is, it's pretty much a pickle. And throughout this story, he's just staying at his home, and all the tricks that the Yattering tries to pull on him, Jack simply either ignores it or waves it off as something completely different. But he isn't really creeped out, even though the Yattering's whispering in his ears. He's maybe tipping over a table or throwing something across the room. Jack simply ignores it or waves it off as not being nothing to worry about. So this actually frustrates the Yattering immensely, as he says to hell, "Look, I'll do anything. Just take me away from this man, and I'll do it. I'll do anything." And hell basically says, "No, you are going to stay here and drive this man insane, and we want his soul for reasons that we aren't going to tell you." There are also rules that the Yattering has to obey by. He cannot leave the house whatsoever. He cannot leave the premises of Jack's home. If he does, then it's implied that something will happen. And he cannot physically touch Jack in any way, even if it's accidentally or in anger, he cannot physically touch Jack. And also, if he does, this will result in something, and I won't say what. This is actually set in during Christmas as well. He also has his 2 daughters coming along as well, coming to the house. I can't remember what their names are, but there are 2 of them. Oh yeah, here we are, Gina and Amanda. And they know that something is wrong with their father, and there is something really weird about the house, and there's something strange happening. They can sense something strange, but when they tell their father, Jack, again, he simply dismisses it. Also, trigger warning as well. If you like cats, or if you're a fan of cats, this will upset you, because it does have some animal abuse and death, because Jack has several cats, and he actually has 3 cats during this story, and none of them, it doesn't turn well for the cats, as the Yattering constantly teases them, and he kills them in graphic ways and gory ways. And Jack also discovers this, but he's not really bothered by it. He thinks that it's something else. Like me, for example, one of the cats has been ripped apart, and bits of its flesh is everywhere, and it basically looks like it's exploded. And he comes to his home, and he sees this, and he thinks that a dog has actually gotten into his home and torn the cat apart. I'm thinking, dude, there's bits of flesh everywhere. I mean, a dog couldn't actually do that much damage to a cat. But yeah, so that's basically the storyline of the Yattering and Jack. It is really, really good. The graphic style and the artwork in this story is amazing. It really is. There you go. You can see the Yattering tormenting one of the cats, and it's really, really good. The artwork is really good. I really like the characters, although the characters in this story aren't really well fleshed out. It's more of the story that's the main focus, and the characters are more on the side. They're just there. Not saying that they're not interested, but yeah, it was more of a story-based, a plot-based story. So yeah, that's basically the story of the Yattering and Jack. So what I liked about this story is obviously the main demon, the Yattering. We don't really know much about, or pretty much nothing about his origin, or where he came from, or his life in general. But because we spend a lot of time with him, we kind of understand him. He isn't good, although he's not bad either. He's because he's a demon, he in essence is an evil creature, and he wants to be bad, he wants to be mischievous. He's actually more of a trickster than being straight out evil, if that makes any sense at all. He does get upset when things don't go his way with Jack, with corrupting his soul, and also he does see a woman across the street from Jack's house, which he has a little bit of a crush on, so I thought that was sweet. And he does look out for the mailman every single day, because that's more of a highlight for his day. And yeah, I did actually feel for this character, but at the end of the day, he is supposed to be a evil character, or an evil creature that we aren't really supposed to be rooting for. But I couldn't help to find some compassion towards him, and it was just like a really interesting character. I couldn't really explain it better than that. And when it comes to what I disliked, not a lot. I would have liked a bit more backstory about Jack, as he's in the title, and I felt that I didn't know him as much as I did the Yattering. But I do not know what else they could have done with that character in this graphic novel. Again, I haven't read I haven't actually read the Books of Blood, so I don't know if Jack is expanded on more in the book, but I don't know what else they could actually have done to expand his character in the graphic novel. Also, I would have liked it if Hell had a bit more of a role in this, or a main role in this book, because they seem to be this entity that's overlooking and watching the Yattering's progress. And he just tried to, I mean, even when he like calls one of the demons from Hell, that's then it's kind of like his boss. I would have liked it if he gave a bit more of an explanation about why they wanted Jack's soul. Again, they touched on it very briefly, but they didn't really dive into it or explore it or expand it in more detail. They just mentioned it on a couple of pages and that was it. So I would have liked a bit more explanation, but it's just me being really picky. But because it's a small graphic novel, there's not much you can actually do with it. So the rating I'm going to give the Yattering and Jack is a 5 stars, even though there were even though it did have its faults. At the end of the day, I really liked it. It's not the most outstanding thing that you're ever going to read, but for a graphic novel, it did its job. It entertained me. It had loads of this interesting artwork, and it did have a spinning Christmas tree. And yeah, I mean, it was a fun, enjoyable graphic novel. So I'm going to give it a 5 stars out of 5. So let's move on to How Spoilers Bleed now, which is the second book or story in this graphic novel. And the it's a bit smaller than the Yattering and Jack, and the graphic style is a bit different than the first one, because it's it would have been because it's done by a different artist. And yeah, this one was interesting, but I didn't really enjoy this one as much as the Yattering and Jack. But the story of How Spoilers Bleed focuses around three men that are in the jungle, and two of them, I mean, at the start we see two of them having a discussion about how one of their friends actually died, and how they want to go onto a helicopter and leave. So we start off in the present day, and then we go off into the past. It's kind of like a flashback. So we see what's actually happened. We discover that these men are in the jungle because they are there because they've actually bought a bit of land in the jungle and they want to build something there. But the only problem is there is these tribesmen or tribe that is currently there, and they won't leave. They refuse to leave, and they aren't violent. They don't threaten them with any violence or anything like that. And but they have guns on them, and they are getting really frustrated that this tribe won't leave, even though that this tribe, it appears that they know exactly that they're not supposed to be there. They know exactly what these men are there to do, but they don't care. They are there because this was their homeland. So while this is happening, they get extremely frustrated, and one of the men shoots at the tribe, and he accidentally kills a young boy in the process. He doesn't intend to do that. He just is an accident that just happens. And that is kind of like a trigger warning in this book. So it's only on 1 or 2 pages. So if you're triggered by that type of stuff, then be warned. This is a bit of a bloody story. So if you don't like blood, then maybe give this one a miss. But after this boy is shot, the main leader of this tribe touches the man that shot this boy, and he transfers a curse to him, which makes his body very brittle, So if you touch him, or if a wind blows near him, he can get injured very, very easily, if that makes sense. So if I touch him here, his skin will bleed a lot, and his hand might fall off. And this is accelerating. Even if a bit of dust gets in his eye bleeds constantly, and this doesn't stop until he's actually dead. And this curse is transferred from person to person by touch. So if you touch someone that's actually got this curse, then it's transferred from person to person that way. So the rest of the men, they ultimately get this curse, and they have to. They actually know what's happened. They actually know what's happened. That the tribe has actually done something to them, and they want to go back and try to say, "Look, we're sorry to you guys. Could you please take? Could you please take this curse off us so we could survive and get on with our lives?" Yeah. So that's the main story of this book. Yeah, there's not much really else to it, really. So what I liked about this story is the artwork is so good. It's really, the level of detail for it is insane, especially on the characters' faces. The story was okay. It wasn't the best story that I've ever read. And the tribe, I liked the tribe in it. They were really cool, although you didn't get pretty much no backstory about them or anything like that, or their rituals or their beliefs for this tribe. But you could tell that they were really one with the jungle and the creatures, and yeah, that seemed really interesting to me. So what I disliked about this book is I didn't really think that much about the plots. I thought that it was pretty standard. I do not know whether it is expanded on in the Books of Bloods. But I think that it could have been longer for the graphic novel. But yeah, but it is what it is. The characters in it, I found most of them to be not very likable. They were really horrible douchebag characters. There were a couple, one or two that I thought that was simply okay, but the majority of these characters, which are all men, there are no women in this story, I found them not to be very likable, as they seem to be more focused on their own aspirations and their own benefits within the story. An example of this is when one of the characters is actually lying on the floor dying of this curse, and he's covered in blood and he's in agony, and one of these characters basically leans over to him. He sees that he's in agony and in pain, and he just leans over and says, "Could you please just say yes, that you will sell us your part of the land that we bought? That was yours in this jungle." And she dies, and then he says, "Oh, did he actually say yes?" And yeah, it was. I mean, it is what it is. It's mostly a story-driven plot, and the characters aren't really the main focus. They are a little bit, but not that much. So I am going to rate How Spoilers Bleed 3 stars out of 5. So as a whole, the graphic novel as a whole, I am going to give a 4 stars out of 5. So in conclusion, I would definitely pick up the Yattering and Jack, as it's a really fun graphic novel by Clive Barker, and yeah, it was just something that you could easily read in 1 or 2 days, and it's not going to take up a lot of brain power. But these stories are full of imagination and creativity, and that's what I like about Clive Barker, is that his imagination is so vast, and I have no idea how he comes up with all these stories. I really do not know. I would like to know how he comes up with all these stories, or how he gets his ideas, because this is a really insane book. But yeah, I would recommend this to anyone. If you are squeamish about blood and gore, then maybe give this one a miss. As I said, it does have trigger warnings for animal abuse and for child death, which is only one scene. So if that kind of upsets you, then maybe give this one a miss, but I really enjoyed it. So that's it guys, that is my review for The Yattering and Jack by Clive Barker. If you have enjoyed this video, please give a like, comment down below, let me know if you've read this, if you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it. If you have any questions about any of these stories, then just comment down below and we can have a discussion about it. Let me know if you've read the adaptations in the Books of Bloods series that the story is actually based on, and we can have a discussion about it. So yeah, if you've enjoyed the video as a whole, please consider subscribing to my channel as it helps out so much. If you do subscribe, please click on the bell so it tells you about whenever I upload videos, which are every Monday and Friday. And I really do appreciate every single person that subscribes to my channel, watches my videos, and all that lovely great stuff. It really means so much to me, and because you know, it tells me that people are watching my videos and they are finding some enjoyment out of them. So that's what it is all about for me, it really is. I will also link down below my Goodreads account in case you want to follow me on Goodreads. It will take you right to my page and it will tell you what I'm currently reading now, and you can message me there if you want to. And yeah, with all that said, have a great day, read some awesome books, and I will see you all in my next video.